AI is not coming for your job, it is coming for people who don't know how to think. Welcome to the second episode of the Clarity Board. You might be worried about becoming irrelevant because of AI. A lot of people message me and ask me, Akshat, what skills should I learn to stay relevant in the world of AI and still make a lot of money on the internet? So I thought I'll record a dedicated video around it and I'll dissect everything when it comes to what skills you should learn so you are not only relevant in the world of AI but you're able to excel and build a career that AI cannot replace. In today's video, I'm not just gonna name drop random skills in front of you. I'm gonna talk about 5 skills and I'm going to talk about why logically learning these skills makes sense in the world of AI so you can make your own logical conclusions, and hopefully by the end of the video you pick one of these skills or maybe more, start learning the skills, and you can start the journey of making money online. So the first skill that I want to talk about is judgment and curation. You see, in the world of automation, when AI can generate anything, when AI have answers for pretty much everything, what happens is that social media have noise at scale. When everybody have the possibility of using the same free AI tools, give it a prompt and generate all the logical answers that in reality would feel like, okay, now everybody will become a social media strategist or anybody can become a creative director. The problem is that the world is only getting noisy, and that is where the skill of judgment and curation come into play. Now, when everybody can create base level art or base level strategies by just giving prompt to AI, the ability as a human being to be able to pick what you will not work on and the things that you would want to work on, and separating noise from signals is going to be a great skill and is going to be relevant for a long time. Everybody is creating content online. Social media is getting crowded by AI content. What AI can do is generate, but only humans can curate meaningfully. How do you develop that taste? How do you judge the right things that you can then experiment on the internet? Because see, the reality is that when you have 100 things to test, you do not have time to test 100 things, get data, and then be like, okay, these 5 things work. If you follow this process, then you're gonna waste a lot of time, and you do not have a lot of time, right? So the idea of generating 100 things from AI, having the ability to pick 5 good things, experiment on those 5 good things, and then coming up with the conclusion that, okay, this one thing works, is the greatest skill of 2025 and beyond, in my opinion. Now, how can you think about learning this skill, right? There are certain things that you can keep in mind. Number 1, you need to become observer of the world. Now, this might feel very intangible, but when I say observer of the world, whenever you go out, whenever you are in a ride to your office, in your car, in your train, you're taking a flight, look at things around you. Look at the magazines, look at the billboards, look at what you see on the internet as well, not just the outside physical world. And whenever you see something that catch your eye, that make you stop and think about it, that make you stop and consume it, you need to document it, okay? So whenever you see something on the internet that you like, take a screenshot of it, put it in a tool, right? So usually the way I do it is I use a tool like Figma, or I will use a tool like Miro, to essentially put all the inspiration that I find in the world on one page. I feel everybody in AI world will have to think like a designer, everybody will have to think like a curator, everybody will have to have an eye for taste and aesthetics, right? So you need to become an observer of the world and then you need to document everything that catch your eye. That's number 1. You need to develop an eye for aesthetics. This is again very important. If you see base level Instagram today, or any other social media platform for that matter of fact, it's crowded, it's noisy, but there are some corners of the internet which are highly curated, which are tasteful, which have that high level of aesthetic that if you see, you would be like, okay, this is great. I would want to consume it again and again and again. You need to keep an eye for that. You need to develop an eye for aesthetics up to an extent where you need to search for some great creatives, great artists, great creators on the internet and willingly clear your Instagram feeds, your social feeds, reset your social feeds today. Find the people that you think are great, that the world say are great, follow them. That is how you're going to be developing an eye for aesthetics. Because see, the thing is that the thing that caught your eye, that made you stop on social media, chances are it is gonna make other people stop as well. So that's a signal, right? That's you essentially finding the signals, documenting those signals and then curating, okay? If I see 10 social media posts while scrolling Instagram, and if two posts catch my eye, I'll document those and I'll then curate. I'll be like, okay, how can I create something like this for my own brand? How can I create this format of content for my own brand, for the niche that I am in? So I am now working on data. I am not blindly working, but I have some data, I have signals of the world, and now I'm able to work on that. Now, obviously, this is how the social media has worked for the longest time now. But because, as I said, AI allow creation at a base level where everybody can create using AI, there are now a lot more things that you would have to consume to be able to come to some things that are actually tasteful, that has the signals that people look, watch, comment, share, and then you draw your conclusions of, okay, now I want to create something like this. So that's the idea of judgment and curation. It sounds a very intangible skill, but I feel it is going to be one of the greatest skill in the era of AI. Okay, so the second skill that I want to talk about is art direction. So the first one we talked about was judgment and curation. The second one is art direction. So you see this triangle, the trifecta of these three things allow you to create something where you will be able to translate your vision to life, right? So vision, clarity, and execution. If you do not have these three things, you will not be able to bring anything tangible to life. Now the problem is AI might be able to give you vision. You can ask ChatGPT, hey, like I'm building this new clothing brand, give me a creative direction, give me the name for the brand, tell me the typography, tell me the color palettes that I want to use, give me a social media strategy. AI might be able to give you the vision here. Let's say AI gives you the vision of what you need to bring to life. Now it is your responsibility as a person, as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, to use tools and people to bring that vision to life. Again, in order for you to be able to bring that vision to life, even before you move to the execution step, you need to have the clarity that, okay, if I have this vision, this is how I'm going to be executing. This is going to be step number 1. This is going to be step number 2. This is going to be step number 3. In reality, you can do 20 things together. But the idea of being clear about what you need to prioritize right now, what you need to prioritize 2 weeks from now, what you need to prioritize 6 months from now is a very important skill, right? So when I say art direction, it's about getting clarity about your vision, prioritizing what you need to do today to get closer to your vision, very important, then executing, right? So now you could execute today using AI tools, automation tools, Nano Banana, Chat GPTs of the world, Mid-Journey, Sora. There are just way too many AI tools that you can use to bring any vision that you have today to life. But you need to execute. You will have to go to that tool to be able to bring your vision to life. Now, there are two ways you can do about it, right? Like when we think about execution, there are two ways you could do it. Number one, you can learn the tools that are available to you. Or number two, you can hire people who would bring your vision to life. Now, in both these scenarios, like when we think about tools, you need to learn different AI tools. But again, if I go back to the triangle, in order for you to be able to use those AI tools to your advantage, you need to have clarity, right? And that is why this triangle that I created was kind of a trifecta where you have the vision, you have the clarity, but when it comes to execution, even if you are doing that execution using the AI tools, you will need to have clarity, because what are you going to tell the AI tool you want to generate, right? Or what you want to create? You need to have that clarity in order for you to be able to use these AI tools to your maximum advantage. And when it comes to hiring people, then there are a lot of other skills that you will have to learn, right? You will have to learn skills like, let's say, leadership, a very important skill. You would have to learn a skill of, articulation. Now, when I say articulation, I mean being able to translate what your vision is to this person that you've hired in the most clear form, so they are able to execute towards your vision. That's essentially articulation, and articulation comes from you reading books, you writing more, so you have clarity of thought. Again, I'm just going to be boiling down to the idea of clarity. If you are not clear, you will not be able to articulate what you want people to execute, right? I know I might be going a bit high level, but I think it is very important for you to understand where I'm going and what exactly I'm trying to talk about. So the idea of art direction is essentially, even if you're able to create imaginary worlds, imaginary strategies using AI, you are at the core of execution. Because if you are not clear, if you do not have the skills that are required to execute something that AI give you, that world, that imaginary vision that you have created using AI is basically pointless. And that is why I feel art direction is going to be one of the greatest skills that you can learn in 2025 and beyond. The third skill that I want to talk about is the skill of building distribution on the internet. Now, Building a personal brand on social media has been in the trend for a longest time now. A lot of people have their personal brands. Everybody want to build their personal brand. But what people do not realize is the importance of it, the value that it brings on the table. You see, in the world of AI, building a product is easy. Whether it be a physical product, whether it be an info product, creating both type of products and setting up a website for them is easier, right? You could literally go to ChatGPT and ask about all the market trends, ask about all the suppliers, ask about creating a lead magnet, create an entire course structure using AI. So building a product is only getting easier and easier and easier day by day. So again, building a product is easy. Building a story is easy because you have the AI tools where you can create brand narratives, you can create strategies, you can create branding, and you can essentially post a lot of stuff using AI on social media. And that is why distribution becomes even more important than ever before. When you have the distribution of 200,000 people, a million people, 5 million people, 10 million people, then you can instantly create the product and you can get the signals. So if you have, let's say, 100,000 people follow you and you create a product, which is obviously very easy to create in the world we live in, you are able to get to signals very quickly. Now, what do I mean by signals? When I say signals, I mean you will get the feedback very quickly where, out of 100,000 people, if 5,000 people see your product, they will give you the feedback. They would buy it. They would tell you in the comments what they feel about this product. They would share the testimonials. They will give you the reviews. So the ability for you to get from a product to signals, get the feedback and then iterate, this loop of product, getting the feedback from the market and then iterating, this entire loop becomes shorter for you because you don't have to spend money in advertising. You do not have to go to other creators or influencers. You do not have to raise funding. You have the distribution and hence you have the control. Now, it has always been true. What I'm talking about has always been true. But when creating product becomes easier, if there used to be 1,000 products in a particular industry, now you will see 2,000 products because it has gotten easier using AI and everybody feels that they can build a product and they can build a brand. But only the ones who have the distribution are gonna win because number one, obviously, as I told you, this cycle becomes easier for people to work on and hence they can quickly iterate and they can quickly make their product better. That is number one. And number two, their cost of acquiring a customer significantly goes down, right? So when product creation becomes easier, a lot of people build the products, hence a lot of people try to sell their product, hence a lot more people would run the ads, and because of that, there is going to be a lot of noise in the world. And contrary to that, on the other side, if you have a brand of 100,000 people, 200,000 people, of people who love what you do, who follow you because of who you are, they do not need the story, they do not need the moat of the product, they do not need how that product is solving their pain point. Obviously, up to an extent, it is important, but they would want to buy your product because they trust in you. They trust what you have been doing for a while now as a creator and as a brand. And that is why building distribution has never been more important. If you are confused today in a college and you don't know what you want to do, go to the internet and try to build distribution in one form or another. So the fourth very important skill that I want to talk about is building AI integrations. As a business, as a founder, as a creative, when you are building something or even when you are, let's say, doing a job, you will face a lot of problems in your workflow, right? You would want to create content faster. You would want to write better scripts. You would want to write better hooks. You would want to design better. You would want to find better research, create better case studies. So you are basically trying to solve a problem at all points. So your ability to be able to find the right relevant tool, integrate the tool to be able to go to these solutions quickly is going to be the greatest skill that you can learn. But one of the problems that I have been realizing right now that a lot of young folks are making is that they tend to forget about that you need to solve a problem to be able to bring any sort of value to the world. What they're trying to do is they try to use random AI tools, try to create random AI automations, and try to find solutions for the problems that do not exist. You cannot forget about the problem, pick a random AI tool, a random AI automation tool, and try to automate things that are not even of value to your company or whatever the work that you are doing. And that is where starting with the problem becomes very important. You need to pick a problem. You need to ask yourself, okay, how can I solve this problem in a more efficient way using AI? Integrate AI in that workflow so you're able to find better solutions faster, cheaper, in a more efficient way. That's going to be a very important skill. Fifth skill, and might sound most obvious skill, it is a set of skills, not a skill, which is the soft skills. In the world of AI where everything is automated, being human can become your biggest advantage, your biggest leverage. See, the thing is that it doesn't matter what happens, it doesn't matter where you are today. If you're doing a job, if you're building a business, it is always going to be human facing. You need to be able to talk to people, show empathy, show conviction, being able to negotiate properly, being able to persuade somebody when you're talking to them, sell them your idea, sell them your product, sell them for anything that you might be doing, because when you're in business, you are into selling business, right? So if you're not able to sell your conviction, your ideas, what's going to happen in the future, the projections that you are making with your company, you will not be able to build a business or anything relevant or valuable for that matter of fact. Even if you're doing a job, if you're unable to sell them, if you're unable to interview your skills, you will not be able to get a job where you're able to make a lot more money. So that is the idea of being human, right? Are you able to talk to somebody and show empathy? Because even when you're, let's say, writing cold email to somebody, anybody can go to ChatGPT and ask for a cold outreach script that gets the maximum reply, that gets the maximum open rate. But on the other side, if you can sit down and write an email where you're able to show empathy to the person that you're talking to, that's going to be your biggest advantage. And a lot of people are missing out on this. You cannot compensate of all these soft skills using AI. AI can tell you how to learn a soft skill. AI can maybe give you the sentences that are supposed to tell and speak in front of a human being, but human conversations are dynamic, right? You cannot use AI to replace that, is what I'm saying. So read more books, write more, speak to more people, right? Try to show empathy, have conviction in what you have. These are some of the human-facing skills that AI will never be able to replace. And you have to sharpen these every day. I think very important thing for everybody who is just starting out, you need to start at least reading 15 to 20 pages of a book, not for the sake of consuming information, but for the sake of being patient. Read words, think about those words and sentences that you're reading, so you become sharp. You become sharp in terms of how you process thoughts, and not always find shortcuts using ChatGPT, or you will have to open ChatGPT for every small thought process. And if that happens over a period of time, you will just become numb. You will not have any skills, and you will only be relying on AI to do anything and everything in your life. And you will not be able to develop those very important soft human skills that are important for our existence, that bring meaning to our life. Okay guys, so these were the 5 very important skills that I feel are gonna keep you relevant in the world of AI. Go think about these skills again, write them down, think about how you can execute these skills in the work you do so you're able to stay relevant. Don't be afraid of AI. AI is just here to make your process and your world easier, better, faster, efficient. So you're able to invest your time with your loved ones. You're able to do things that you enjoy rather than doing the same repetitive tasks that you were doing before AI. So use AI as a leverage, not as something that is gonna replace you, because it's not gonna replace you unless you just close your brain and you act like an idiot. That's it for the second episode of the Clarity Board. I'll see you in the third episode.